Looking for some training ideas for your next in-service or professional development session? Our training modules are great for business professionals, educators, and staff. Developed with the educational sector in mind, our training modules are based on topics that are relevant to schools both public and private. Let's take a peek at some of the topics in Module 1. They include, but are not limited to, copyright myths, who is eligible for copyright protection, the difference between a copyright, patent, and trademark, fair use laws, and public domain. Let's start with some myths about copyright laws. Our first myth is that if it's on the internet, it's okay to use it because it's public domain. The truth is, the copyright owner has the right to reproduce their work in any manner they choose. If they want to put it on the internet, they may. However, that doesn't mean you can copy it and use it without their permission. Another myth is that it must have the copyright symbol or word in order to be copyrighted. Now, this once was true, however, it's not now. It is optional. Or, it doesn't have the copyright symbol because it might be an unauthorized copy. Someone may have removed the copyright notice, or the author may have had to fix an error following certain copyright procedures, and this copy may have been printed before the error was fixed. What exactly are copyright laws? Well, they are a protection grounded in the U.S. Constitution. They protect original works of authorship that is expressed in a fixed and tangible medium such as books, plays, and works of art. So in other words, things you can see with your eyes without the aid of additional machine, or things that you can see with the aid of a machine. These works do not have to be published in order to be covered by copyright laws. What exactly is the fair use doctrine? Well, it's when a person is allowed to use a portion of the work for criticism, comment, news, teaching, and research. For instance, a term paper where the student quotes a small portion of the document and then elaborates or refutes the author's viewpoint. To determine if something fits into the fair use doctrine, we must determine if it is for commercial or nonprofit use. Next, what is the nature of the work? What is the amount of the work used in relation to the entire piece of work? A substantial portion would not be acceptable. Would the effect of your use affect the potential market or value of the work? Module 2 includes graphic terminology, photos versus graphics, the top 5 graphic formats discussed in detail, and how to choose which graphic format to use. So is your mind on overload yet? I know. It's a lot of information and we haven't even gotten to the different file formats yet. Let's talk about 2 more details before we get to the graphic formats. Photos versus graphics. Is there really a difference? A photo image is an image with continuous tones. There are pixels next to each other that have similar colors. We could refer to those as gradients or shades. For instance, a photo image may have green grass as part of the photo. Now, not all of the green in the grass is the same color. Or the blue sky. There may be many shades of blue in the sky. A graphic image does not normally have continuous tones. They may have gradients or shades, but it's not likely. Instead, they contain text, lines, and sharp edges. They may be drawings and usually have few colors, most of the time less than 16. And they don't use anti-aliasing, which, if you remember from the last slide, is when those jagged edges are reduced with gradients. Instead of using anti-aliasing, graphic images use high resolution to reduce the appearance of jagged edges. To say it another way, they use more pixels or dots per inch to create a smoother. Graphics Interchange Format, otherwise known as GIF. As stated earlier, it is a raster format. It is also supported on Word, Excel, Front Page, and PowerPoint. One of the big selling factors for GIF is that it supports transparency. Of the top 5, only 2 formats support transparency. GIF files are good for text headings, cartoon drawings, as we see with the clipboard, web buttons, diagrams, charts, and banners. Having the ability to have a transparent background is very necessary for graphics such as text headings, web buttons, cartoons, and banners. Have you ever visited a website with a beautiful layout and then see a graphic with a white box around it? It just draws away from the professionalism of the page. Now, had the website designer saved the graphic in the GIF format and made the background transparent, the site would have had a whole new look. These graphics are typically simple web graphics with limited color. A GIF graphic is limited in the number of colors and can have no more than 256 colors. This is why it's not usually used for photos. The quality is just not as good as a graphic format supporting more colors. Module 3 is a tutorial and hands-on module. Graphic editing software, free alternatives, and the tools used in editing the graphics are discussed along with step-by-step tutorials that will not be included here. If you do a search for Photoshop Elements Alternatives, GIMP is a name you are sure to come across. It was started in 1995 and is an open source software. Open source software is a free sharing of technical information with the end product and source material available at no cost to the public. So yes, it's free. And it is a competitor to other commercial bitmap drawing programs on the market. GIMP is available for Windows, Macs, Linux, and Unix. Now that wasn't too difficult, was it? Now time to practice. But before you do, let's review some important tools you will be using. Your magic wand is used to select the area you want to work with. Your paint bucket will fill in the color you have selected in the foreground box to any area you have selected with the magic wand. The foreground is the top box and is the color you will use. The background is the bottom box. You can switch back and forth between the two colors by clicking the arrows next to them. Your color palette is where you select the color you want to work with. You have practiced changing the color of an object. You have learned why it is important to know 2 ways of changing the color, as some objects have gradient colors. You have worked with both GIF and PNG files. Now we're going to get to edit a JPEG file. In this tutorial, we will create a transparent background. Our sessions are designed for shorter professional development sessions. After-school sessions will give your staff the knowledge they need without tying them up for a full day. Each module allows time for discussion during the session at several different points. As a result, Module 1 should be completed in approximately 1 hour. Module 2 should take about 1.5 hours, and Module 3 is a little longer due to the practice sessions and may take up to 2.5 hours. Please note, Module 3 requires each attendee to have a computer to practice on during the session. We offer a discount on Module 3 if all 3 modules are scheduled. If this sounds like a good fit for your school or organization and you would like to schedule, or if you have further questions, please send us an email.